Good evening, people. Titus here for part 13 and the final part of our Qbert mini-series, and in this video we're going to be creating some special effects to add a little bit more life to this prototype. Let's not waste any time and jump right into it. Alright, so we're going to create a new folder. We'll call it our special effects or SFX folder. And then we're going to create 3 particle systems, one for the death of the snake, the death of Qbert, and then one for the spawn of Qbert. So let's do the spawning first. So we'll create a new Niagara system. We'll use a selected emitter. I'm going to choose the empty template and hit finish. I'm going to call it ns_Qbert spawn. I'm going to double click to open that up, and then I'm going to go ahead and dock it in my window there. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the properties at the top here, and I'm going to set this to a GPU, and then I'm going to switch it from dynamic to fixed for the bounds. And then in the emitter update, I'm going to go ahead and add a spawn rate. So we'll hit the plus sign here. We'll do spawn rate. And I'm going to do 100,000 starting off. So you should be left with this kind of like bright light in your center of your preview window here. And then the next thing in our particle spawn, we're going to hit the plus sign, and we can do a sample skeletal mesh. The mesh I want to use is going to be my Qbert. Now to make this work, we're going to need to know some positioning information. So on the left hand side you have a parameter section. You can scroll down, and under particle attributes there's a particle position, and it's just the purple one with no sample or anything on it. So what we can do is we can actually drag this underneath the sample skeletal mesh, so right here, and then with that selected we need to come back to the parameters and select the particle sample skeletal mesh and drag that into the bottom blue box over here. And then with that you'll probably have a weird setup. The reason mine looks weird is because my Qbert skeleton is a bit odd, I guess to say the least. But what we can do is come to the sample skeleton, and instead of using the skeleton bones, you can change that to the surface triangles. And then this should look a little bit more like the mesh you're used to. Now right now I can't really see, it looks, I think the particles are too big, so we can come into the initialize particles, and the sprite size, we can do a uniform, maybe change it to 1, and that looks a little bit better there. For the color, I'm actually going to use a direct set, and I'm going to pick maybe an orange, somewhere around there maybe. Alright, so I think that looks pretty okay. So now we want to get some movement of these particles. So in the particle update, we can add a simple curl noise. It's going to give an error. If it does, just hit fix issue, and it just wants to add the self versus in velocity. It'll put that in for you. And then we're left with this sort of effect, which I think looks pretty good. I am going to turn up the noise strength to maybe a 50. Just so the effect happens and it's a little more, I guess, spread out, but I think that looks pretty good. Now the other thing I want to change, I mean, you can customize this as much as you want. You can do it where the color changes over time. You can do the sprite size changes over time. You know, the particle system in Unreal is actually really good. But for this, the only thing I'm going to change here is I think in the emitter state, I want to change the life cycle from system to be self, because I don't want it to infinitely loop. I want it to just play once. And then I will compile and save that. Now we're going to give this a test, but we got to add it to our Qbert. So let's open up our blueprints folder, find Qbert, go to our viewport. If I press Control Spacebar, I can go to my special effects folder, highlight my Niagara system, hit the add button in components, and it will reference the Niagara particle system. So I can choose that, add it in, You notice it plays it right when it adds it in. We want to turn auto activate to off. And then we need to call this through code. So if we go back into our code, we have some death code here. So when Qbert dies, we hide the static mesh. And then we wait some time, and then we teleport the static mesh. And then we wait some more time, and then we make the mesh visible. So I think right before the delay or the wait, I'm gonna play the particle system and then wait and then show the mesh. So we can grab the Niagara system from the components view and just drag it in, drag off that pin and do set active. You can check the box to new activate. Hook up the execution pins like so, compile and save. Now we can play and give this a test. So now if we die from the snake or from falling off the edge, it should play this little particle system and then show Qbert, and then you can actually continue on with the game. So pretty basic, not too crazy. But I think we need to add some death particle systems for the snake and for Qbert as well. And I think that'll round out this project pretty good. So let's do that. So we'll come back to our special effects folder. We'll create a new Niagara system. We'll use a template. This time I'm going to use the omnidirectional burst. We'll hit the plus sign, hit finish. Call it NS Qbert Death. And then this has most of the settings already done. The things I'm probably going to do here is maybe gravity. I'll right click and delete that. And then for the initialized particles, I'll select, or actually, sorry, the spawn burst instantaneous. I'm going to change that from 100 to maybe 1,000. And then back in initialize, I'm going to change the color to be a Qbert-ish color. Maybe something like that. And I think that'll be sufficient. So we can come back into the Qbert code, and under the viewport, control spacebar, I'm going to select the Qbert Death, hit add. I'm going to add that Niagara system. Turn the auto activate to off, compile, go to the event graph, and I think in the beginning of the death code, right after we hide the mesh, I think is a good spot for that to go. So we can drag the death system here and do set activate. Hook that up here. Oops. And then new activate checked. Compile and save. So now when Qbert actually dies, it should play a little poof. And then when he spawns, we get his little spawn mesh. And I think that looks pretty good. We can see if we can get the snake to actually kill us here. Yeah, I think we'll get him. So we get the poof from the snake as well as the spawn. But the snake needs to poof as well because he's just disappearing. So let's fix that. And that's easy enough. We can actually borrow Qbert's code and duplicate it. But this one we're going to rename to snake death. Now for the snake, we had to do this a little bit different. I'm going to use the same type of effect, but instead of being orange, I'm just going to change it to be like a purple. And then I can save that. But if you remember with Qbert, we never actually destroy the actor, right? We're just doing some image tricks. We're just hiding the mesh, we're teleporting it, and then we're showing the mesh. With the snake, we're actually destroying the actor. So we're deleting that actor and we're instantiating a new actor that is the snake. So we can't do that same type of setup because the particle systems wouldn't play. So we can't attach it to the character like we did before. So another way you can do it is off the death code. You can drag into a spawn system at location. And the system you select is just whatever Niagara system you want. So we'll choose snake death. The location, we can get a reference to our capsule component because that's the parent of this object. And then we can get the relative location. plug that into there, and we don't really need to mesh with rotation or scale because this is just non-directional burst. So I think this will work for our uses. So now if we come into here, let's see if we can get the snake to jump off the edge. No way he jumped down again. One of these times he's gonna fall. Nope, he's gonna kill me. He's jumping off now, there he goes. Oh, you saw the particles there, I guess. Let's see if we can get him to jump off again. Every time you want him to jump off, he doesn't. There he goes. So you can see the particle systems kind of play there. So now he has a little bit of life, I guess, when he his actor's destroyed. So looks a little bit more like a game, I guess. But all right, good people. This pretty much concludes the Qbert project. I hope you found some informative value in these topics that you can take into your own projects. And if you like the series, please consider leaving a like and a sub to help grow the channel. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.